Don't miss these amazing interviews coming up as part of the Experience Posted Anniversary. If you love the experience, please post it on your social media and tag a friend you think would enjoy it too. Stick with us for live interviews and sales all weekend long on the Experience.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Onrie Kompan. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Virtual Signings with Onrie, the live event show. I'm your host, Onrie Kompan. We are doing everything from my basement, and our guest is running a little bit late. And here's the best part about being in this business is we get to – oh, there he is. We got Dustin in the house right now. See, this is commitment, guys. This guy is on the road risking his life in traffic. Well, I got my little man here playing Power Rangers. And we're going to be talking about some comics right now. So, Dustin, tell us who you are. Welcome to the show. Tell us who you are, what you do.
What's going on, Onrie? I'm I don't know. I'm a normal dude that publishes his own books and tries to give you guys the best quality content I can possibly give you.
That's fantastic, man. And speaking of quality, I have pulled your books, and I picked up a bunch of stuff from you back at MegaCon in Orlando, where we had a really great time. If I could get the full screen for a second,
for sure.
I just want to show off Dustin's work here. So Dustin does this really cool book that he's going to tell us about called The Listener, and he's got a Kickstarter currently that we're going to talk about too. And we got a crazy young man yelling in the background as well. All kinds of stuff is going on. And we got this really cool Marissa Pope cover for The Listener Beginning. Be quiet. You're talking too loud. Dustin, can you walk us through this and tell us about this series?
So The Listener started I had moved from from Florida to Tennessee last year. And after I moved, my uncle died. And I had not done much studying on my family or my family heritage or anything like that. And when he died, it dawned on me that I didn't want people to not know the things that he went through, that he dealt with as a Native American soldier, you know what I mean, in Vietnam. But I changed things a little bit to be interesting to a different group of people. So it wasn't just a niche title, you know. But we added the supernatural elements to it and stuff like that. There's a lot of real world terror in the listener. And not only that, we add theology so that you guys can learn a little bit, see a little bit, monsters, demons, what have you, from all different kinds of cultures. It's a lot of fun, though. So we're on book 3. We've got the listener Addie, we've got the listener When Winds Weep, and we've got Beginnings. Am I cutting out, or are you cutting out, Onrie?
You are not cutting out. I heard
cool.
everything you just said perfectly. If anybody's
Awesome.
watching right now, let us know. We should be hearing and seeing you very well.
Yeah, I'll be home in 10 minutes. So if I cut out or miss anything, you guys will be able to get me. But so there's a lot to be said about the listener. A lot of things that people dealt with and went through that we're not taught about in, history class, and those are things I wanted to bring up. There's 36 scripts written for the listener right now. And we've also got a spin-off IP called Greed. Oh yeah, that's Marissa's from book 1. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. But Greed is in the same world as the listener in modern day, so a lot of fun. It's about a kid who meets his monster under the bed and gets involved in the same wars that we introduce in the listener. But the listener itself currently takes place in the 1940s. The main campaign is in the middle of a group of soldiers pushing back Japanese insurgents in China. I figured you guys would enjoy stuff like that. And Onrie and I talked about, you guys are big history buffs and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the right IP of mine to check out, with him. But my current campaign is called Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs. Totally different type of book than what the listener is. The listener is very scary because of the scariest stuff is real. The stories that my uncle used to tell us, stuff that he went through, and not to mention when he got older and he, started going down the slope with PTSD and stuff, it was like, you couldn't be talking for 5 seconds before he started going into a tale about something terrifying. And I realized that's a niche thing for most people. But like I mentioned, I wanted to bring in theology and stuff. He would talk about all kinds of gods and stuff that he believed in, and, why we didn't do certain things, why we should do certain things, So I wanted to bring that to you guys. The listener is based on this character named Addie, and Addie inherits the ability to see and interact with the dead, and in the middle of a war where people are dying left and right, he's interacting with all kinds of crazy folks, and he happens to save this young girl. Her name is Lee. She's a young Chinese girl, and she becomes a pivotal character in our series. Lots of fun though with the artwork. The team's great. We brought on a plethora of talent for book 1, book 2, and book 3. We don't treat any of our team like contractors, so chances are if you saw them on a book, you're going to see them on the next book, and so on and so forth, because we treat our team like family. They're, you work with these guys, girls, all day long, every day. You're talking about books, where you're getting next. I put out a book every month, so you're basically getting a new issue of something or other that I'm putting out every month. And I do that in a way that we leapfrog each of our titles. So like this month is BGD, next month is Greed, followed by the listener, so on and so forth. And that gives our team time to breathe in between putting out issues. Because one thing about our team is everybody's indie. You know what I'm saying? Even though they may be big names in indie, they're still indie. So I try to make sure that, we all take care of each other, and it's a rotating thing.
So Dustin, you actually have a question from JD Smith. JD, what's going on, man? He's asking what publisher you're using. You're self-publishing.
Yeah, I self-publish right now for the listener and for Greed. BGD is done by Totally Rad Comics. And that being said, there's some motion going on with the listener and where we're putting it and stuff. We've had a couple offers, but I think we're going to hang out until I've got a trade paperback coming out in the near future. So I'm trying to make sure that I keep all my options open. So currently, self-published through Cowabunga Comics, and with BGD you'll stay with Totally Rad Comics.
Excellent. So Dustin, real quick,
But
I have
the Kickstarter has I think I'm losing it in the mountains. Sorry, guys.
Oh no, it's okay. Can you hear me?
I'm almost home though, so
Okay.
it'll be
Can you hear me?
cleaned up when I get home.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me right now or no?
I can.
You can kind of hear it.
Now.
All right, Dustin. I can continue to talk because I've read the series.
Let me cut off my camera, Onrie.
Yeah, try that.
Try that.
Yeah, of course. And guys, this is comics right here. We're constantly moving. We're constantly doing things. And though it seems like it takes forever for a 24-page comic to get made, especially when you're working on the kind of deadlines that like Dustin's working on, it is you're doing things as consistently and as persistently as you can. And when you have things like family and car problems and other things going on, those things also kind of like have to get done while we're in the middle of making comics. And that's the amazing thing about it, is that we can all make it work somehow. A lot of us have secondary jobs. Many of us are doing this simply because we love it, not necessarily because we're trying to do it full time. Those of us who take on the burden, a lot of people see it as a gift, but in many ways it's a burden to do this full time because of the fact that you still have to manage everything. You have to keep things moving on a consistent basis in order to just get by. And when I met Dustin at MegaCon, the one thing that he did that I was super impressed with was he expressed his love not just for publishing, but for supporting other creators. And he actually is in the game as a dealer as well, which is really cool. If you guys haven't heard of Cowabunga Comics, Dustin, did you have you had a brick and mortar that was open, right?
I did have a brick and mortar, yes, sir.
And so tell us about how you fell into that, if you don't mind.
I don't mind answering anything, Onrie. I just hope my phone is enough to continue going on with the conversation. So when I don't know, with the brick and mortar, it was cool because we did it was all indie stuff for the most part. You know what I mean? I'm a huge fan of indie books, huge indie supporter. When it comes to putting my book, it is a full-time job for me. You know what I mean? I have 18 people that get paid monthly from me. You know what I mean? We have full teams. And it's so important to get the name out and get people to see it, because it's not just you're looking after, you're looking out for. It's like when you go to your job every day, you go to your job and you're like, hey, look, the company's paying the bill, right? They're paying all your employees. But when it comes to us, it's us paying it. You know what I mean? We're paying the bills. We're paying all the employees. So it's like, I have to be able to go in and be like, hey, look, this is beautiful, right? You like this? The story's good. The artists are great. The people are good. So I promote our teams. You know what I mean? It's so important to promote everybody that's on the team. They may have another project coming out. You know what I mean? And they, just slightly putting it out and helping them just a little bit, because the market is so saturated with amazing talent. We have to be able to stand on our own. We have to be able to help each other. I joke about the whole it being an ocean of talent. I talk about it all the time. It's an ocean of talent we're in, but we either have to be a faster swimmer, we have to evolve bigger teeth, we have to evolve, colors to make ourselves so noticeable that predators will leave us alone. We have to be seen somewhere or another. We have to be able to exist. And if you get your own school of fish, you have to take care of your school of fish, because everybody eats together. You know what I mean? We all eat together. And that's the most prevalent thing I can tell you guys going into this industry, that if you have a team, supporters, fans, whatever, you have to support each other. You have to lift each other up, build each other. It's like Jenga, right? people start pulling your team apart and stuff, it's not going to stand up very long. So you want to build a strong base with great teams. I mean, look, right now I've been in this industry creating for the past 8 months, and I've got a lot of books out in 8 months. And not only do I have books out, I just got hired to do another IP. So I'll have 4 IPs by my first year and a half into this industry that are ongoing series and not one shots. So I'm all about the longevity of it. I'm all about building the indie industry. Anything I can do to help folks, I try to. But it's a lot, like Onrie mentioned. It's a full-time, 24/7. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're out at dinner and somebody calls you and you need to handle something, hey, look, real sorry, step away from the dinner table, handle the business, go back to the dinner table. And Onrie knows better than anybody. It's full-time all the time.
It is all the time. And in fact, I'm actually taking a picture right now of one of your covers because you have a lot of people who are interested in the books I've been showing off. And
that's awesome.
Yes. And not only that, here's the thing, man. Virtual signings were all about slinging your comics. So I was wondering,
I appreciate that.
Of course, that's what we're here to do. So I have a question. Can you help me price these books out so that I know what they're going for? Okay.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I noticed about your books is that you don't have a 1, 2, and 3. Each issue has a different subtitle.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have this, The Listener. So
The Listener alone is book 1.
Okay, so this is book 1.
Listener. And that is Marissa Pope's. That is $15 for Marissa Pope's book 1.
Okay, so that's
we retail that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what is this?
Beginnings is our most recent book. That's book 3. The Kickstarter backers are actually just now getting their books back for that particular one. Came out about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, and that is $20 a copy for Marissa's cover for Beginnings.
Okay, so we got 20 on this. We got 15 on that. Ship, this is a really awesome book. It is about, we got Richard Shipp in the house right now. This is about our guest. He made a book about his uncle, who was a Native American Green Beret, and he kind of combined the essence of like what he actually went through with some spiritual stuff. And he's like, it takes place in 1940s. Is it in Japan or in China?
So it's in China. They're pushing back Japanese insurgents. What I did was I took all these stories. Vietnam is hard for people to relate to. So I made the story in World War II because there's a lot more history that people know about than Vietnam. But it's like if you're a fan of Supernatural, like the show Supernatural, and if you mix that with the Frighteners, it would probably be.
Okay, looks like we're losing Dustin for a minute. He's still on his commute home. So far we've got,
being able to deal damage and stuff.
He's back. There's
I'm going to the house right now.
No worries. Okay, so far we have the first listener going for $15 for the Marissa Pope cover. We have the Beginnings Marissa Pope cover. That's going to go for $20. That's one. We have how many copies of it? I have 3 copies of the first issue with the Marissa Pope cover, going for $15. So 3 of you guys are lucky enough. You guys can snag that right now. All you got to do is call it as you see it. You know what's up. So we got 15 on that. We have 20 on this one right here. This is the Nurse Marissa Pope cover. And then we have this variant, this vegan variant. Ship, I think this has your name all over it. I believe this is going to go for 20. So we got this one at 20. And then Dustin's going to help me price out the rest of this right now. But guys, I can tell you from having read this myself, Dustin straight up handed me this book at the con. And he was like, just read this. I just want you to see what you think. And I read this after a long day of slinging comics. And I absolutely loved it. There's this really great, like almost David Mack feel to the artwork. And it's just, there's really great action. There's this awesome splash scene where you just see these guys get their heads chopped off with tomahawk axes. Like,
oh, it was awesome, right?
yeah. Oh, dude, it's so good. I really love this. So this cover was going for $20. That's what I priced it at. Is that the right price on this?
Yep.
Okay, so $20 on this, and then we got a couple more, and then we'll get back to the other stuff too, because I know you have a lot of stuff you want to talk about. And how can you not? You know, someone who's putting on a new book every month, I think it's amazing. I'll take a trade dress of number 1. Trade dress is this one right here? Is that the trade dress?
That's number 3. That's book 3.
Okay, that's book 3. Okay, so we want this one then.
That's book 1. Yep.
Okay, Chris Mason, I got you down for that. Give me 1 second. I just want to mark it down on my notepad. I'm doing everything from home today because I was doing some writing myself, so I just kind of, took it off. Dustin, I got to say, you inspire me.
I appreciate that.
Well, because I mean, you're doing it. And especially, I learned so much from MegaCon, from the sense that, I never knew where I kind of fit in as both a creator and as someone who just genuinely enjoys selling comics and sharing stories with other people.
For sure.
My passion for both, I thought it kind of like outlawed me, but meeting you, I really feel like I connected with the kindred spirit, and it's really awesome, man. And I love the concept of the book.
I felt the same way, man. It's such a cool experience to get to hang out with you guys. Because being on the other side of the fence, all the time as a writer, you get to this point where you often feel like you're alone on this island. You know what I mean? Because artists have this amazing way to interact with one another, and it's a lot of fun to see. Whereas a writer, you're often trying to find your space with people. You know what I mean? Because you're so used to creating worlds that it's hard to often fit in, like at the water cooler. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, what are we talking about today? Yada, yada, who's got awesome art out, what's going on, and so on and what have you. But it's interesting to be able to talk to people, kindred spirits, about what they've got going on, what they're putting out. What you do is amazing. I love, watching. I sat there and I watched you slinging books.
You can watch me sling books right now. I want to sling your books. So hold on real quick. I appreciate everything you're saying. So we got 2 copies left of these Marissa Pope covers, guys. $15 a pop on these. Yes, Ship is going to be your biggest fan. Ship, I'm telling you right now, you're going to want this one for $20 and you won't regret it. Let me know. Just confirm it. And then, Timmy, I know you're watching right now, and I know you're a big Marissa Pope fan. I pulled aside one of those nurse covers. I don't know where it is.
Oh, man. She's great. She's so much fun. She's on all my books, just about.
I really want to meet her. Okay,
she's such a good person. When I started working on the first book, Mike DeBalfo reached out to me and was like, "Hey, dude, can my protege?" I've known him for years, and he was like, "Hey, can my protege get on your book?" And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it." And she's just been a pleasure and a good friend ever since.
You know what? You were kind of fading out for a moment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. If you put your headset in, Timmy, this is going to go for $20. Let me know if you want to add this, and I can invoice for it. I know that you had mentioned you were missing either this one or something like it, but this is the nurse cover right here. Let me know.
Oh yeah, Lilith from like the Christian Lilith.
And but before we move on, because I'm enjoying our conversation very much, let's price out the rest of these. We got Is this issue 2?
That's beginning, so that's book. Yeah, that's Winds Weep, so that's book 2. So that's
okay.
$15.
I have 2 copies of this, and okay, so we got a wolf and we got the nurse for Timmy.
Okay,
these are slinging. You're watching your book sling right now. How does it feel, brother?
It's an insane feeling to watch people enjoy them as much as they're intended to be enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. Because
I suck at slinging books, so
No, you don't.
I'm.
No, you don't. You don't. You're
Oh.
you're so personable. You're so personable. I loved our conversations together when we had dinner together twice. It was fantastic, and
For sure.
you know, and that's what it's about. It's not just about like, hey, moving the book. It's also about getting people excited about the work you're doing.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I much more enjoy talking about the book and the products and hearing from fans and seeing the fan art and all. Speaking of fan art, we've been getting some incredible stuff. I'll have to send you in the next couple of days. But yeah, it's a good time, man. And then when we brought in Greed, it was that just much more exciting for folks, you know, because it was a different aspect in the world that we created.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a question here from Joe McPhee. As one writer creator to another, why do you feel like you're on an island when it comes to after a book is released? To me, you become as available as the artist who drew it.
That's not. It's a good question because I think that it's a great question because I think that it's the way I said it may have been misconstrued possibly. When I say that we're on an island, it's not that we're unavailable. It's that we feel at times almost like everybody's looking to talk to the artists. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to see the artists.
You're just the writer.
Absolutely.
That's always what it is.
You're never going to be the lead singer of the band. You know what I mean? And that's okay. What I'm saying is right now in this particular market, in this day and age, the way books work, it's the speculation market, it's the cover market. You know, we want desperately, guys like me and Onrie desperately want you to open the book and read what we've put on the pages. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by feeling like I'm on an island. It's trying to win the approval almost of your fan base. You know what I mean? So once you put out a new book, it's an anxiety. And I've told you about it, Onrie. I always felt like I had imposter syndrome when I first started.
Yeah, you know, when we were out that one night, someone else was asking us, like someone who was more, novice was asking us, like, is it normal to feel imposter syndrome? And I was like, absolutely, it is. I always feel imposter syndrome when I'm working in particular. You know, I think we spend so much time getting acquainted with our work.
Absolutely,
writing stuff, and you want to do the best work that you possibly can, given the time that you have to do it. And when you're putting the book out on a monthly basis, it's only going to be as great as you can make it. The one thing I really respected about both you and Jim and your approach to making comics is that you guys are easy to work with. Dealing with you was a pleasure. It wasn't, oh my gosh, it's a headache, you know?
Right.
Lindsay, what's going on? Good to see you. So, guys, just to give you an update, we sold 2 copies of The Wolf cover. This is the first issue. I got one last copy going for $15. I have 2 copies of issue 2. Is it 2 copies or 3 copies of issue 2?
Oh, I don't even know, brother.
When Winds Weep, we got this book going for $15. That's the sequel to the Wolf cover.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 copies going for $15. Call it as you see it, folks. Call it as you see it. We got you. If you want to see the insides of the book, just say, hey, Onrie, open up the darn thing. Let me see inside. And then we still got this cover here going for $20. Ship, this has your name on it. I am literally going to throw this in your pile if you don't call it. And then I have some other stuff that Dustin's going to tell us about. So we got another type of cover for beginnings. Can you tell us about this cover?
So that's book 3, and that's $20 retail. Great stuff. That's another Adam Fields cover. He's been with us from book 1 to start. He's an incredible talent. Really, really good dude. And that's got Adesanya on it. Sonny and Addy are on that cover. Plus the Winds are on it. So that's a pretty cool cover. I think that's the second cover appearance of Adesanya. So that's pretty dope.
Awesome. Okay, so this one's going to go for $20, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 20 on this one. And then, Ship, I am throwing this one on there. Did you want me to throw on issue 2 to your pile? I just want to make sure. I know you said throw it in the pile, but I just want to make sure. And I highly recommend just throwing in issue 2. So if you get them both, okay, you want the run. Okay, so we're calling that. So Ship's
right on.
Run. Look at this, man. This is insane.
It's awesome. It's incredible.
Yes. And honestly, you know what it was, Dustin? It's really just a matter of promotion. A lot of people have been asking me lately what the trick to everything is. I learned so much when I was at MegaCon just from engaging with you and Jim, Chris Columbus from Sun. You know, all these people had so much different stuff to say, and it's really a culmination of everything. When you reach out to people and you bring the customer along, that's something that Jesse James really, really pushed and emphasized with me when I first started dealing was never leave the customer behind. And I feel that if people can enjoy Yisun Shin, they need to be exposed to the listener. They need to check out that. Mark's Yisun Shin. You want to jump on this. This is fantastic stuff.
Well, see, it's really cool to me because when you like, I look at you like a like that guy that's been like Sensei dude, you know, Sensei Onrie. He's been doing it a long time. You know, it's interesting to watch you sell books. And I mean, I had a brick and mortar. I pushed books. I had a good time with it, you know. But it's a very different angle when you're in the thick of it. You know what I mean? Pushing books to people and making new fans as you're working. I've always been that guy that since we started that wanted to get the best story I could give to you, but also make fans and make friends as I was doing it. Like, I'm very open. You know, you could reach out to me on any day of the week and we'll have a conversation. You know, there's a lot to be said about a amazing fan base. And so far we've got a really good one. I'm always looking for awesome fans, people to hang out with, you know, shoot the shit with, and just have a good time. You know, sitting with Onrie, I learned a lot. I felt like there was, you know, someone else that was in my shoes and knew how the game works and how to, you know, to be around and exist in this world of incredible talent. But it's cool to see the books move and stuff. That's just awesome.
Well, speaking of moving books, we still have two more things we need to price out here for our fans.
For sure.
And friends here. We have this book here. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Oh, so that's the Mortal Kombat Greed cover, the homage cover for Mortal Kombat. Okay. So if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you remember the pit stage in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So as I have a 3-year-old son that actually loves Legos, and his Legos are all over the floor all the time in his room. It's the worst thing you can step on. So I was trying to think of something that I could add to this cover for you. Oh, yeah.
Look,
it's a good one, man.
That's awesome, dude. I love it.
It's the first time we've done a cover like that, a wraparound cover. We had a lot of fun with it. But Greed is like, it's in the same world as The Listener, but it's a 10-year-old suburban kid who meets his monster under the bed. Said monster under the bed's not the greatest influence and drags him into the same war that The Listener is currently learning about and will cross over with Greed in the future. And so close in the future, it's ridiculous because, like I said, the way that we put books out, the content is constantly coming out. So Greed will cross over with the characters from The Listener in 2 books from now. So issue 3, you'll see characters from The Listener in Greed. Really excited about it.
JD thinks the Lego Brick Pit is awesome. And Dustin, what do we got?
$20 for the wraparound.
And I only have one of these, guys, so call it as you see it. We only got one of these in stock, and then we're out. We're sold out of it unless Dustin can hook it up. And here's the thing. We want to sell out of these creators' books on the show. In fact, we want to go beyond it. And my promise to every single creator who comes on Virtual Signings with Onrie is that if you sell out of your books on our show, whatever I stock up from the creators, I will hook you up afterwards and let the creators keep the profits of everything they sell.
That's incredible, Onrie.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, bud. Go ahead. Sorry, my kid
You're
is
good.
getting off to music or to the swimming pool.
Right on.
It's so hard with the traveling coming back, man. I'm in and out, and it's so hard.
Man, we're in Michigan in 2 weeks. I'm in Baltimore in a month and a half. We're C2E2. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going as a vendor for those shows. I know Jim's got a table at Baltimore, so I'm just going to drop some stuff off. And I'm going to spend some time with you guys and meander a little bit. And
Dude, we're going to have a wonderful time. I cannot wait.
For sure.
More.
Yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I'm doing the same thing at C2E2, and then we're booked for Florida in January, February, and then we've got Las Vegas not long after that. So
I've heard that Las Vegas is not a good place to do comic, like to go and table. Everybody's told me that, so I've always stayed away. But it seems like that one place where you would think that comics would sell.
For sure. Well, it's huge. The venue's huge. I've never been before, and I got invited, and I'm not going to say no because I've not been invited to many shows yet. So I got invited. So
I got to pay my. I've always got to pay my way. That's just.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got to pay my way. I mean, but I got invited, and I not paid invited, but I got invited. So I'm going to go, and it'll be fun, regardless. Because there's so much to be gained, not just monetarily, but as people. When you go to these shows and you're interacting with fans, you're going like right now, like for Baltimore, dropping books off with Jim, and Jim did the same thing, and he gained so much from MegaCon. He was like, you know what, I'm leave my books at the table. I'm going to go and I'm going to, meet people, talk to my artists, do this and that. Being able to talk to my artists and hang out with folks and have a good time is well worth what we're doing. Because you build so many bridges, guys. Like you literally are building in it. It's like when we were kids, we had connects, right? You had these you just build constantly. You're building your bridges in every different direction. And you know what they say about press? Any press is good press. So if you're out and you're just like, hello, like if I walk up and I dropped a book off to an artist the other day at MegaCon just because I thought they were a great artist. I was like, look, man, I'm sure you get a ton of these. Here's a copy of my book. Next thing you know, he's like, hey, look, put me on the first cover for next year. And I was like, reached out to me on Facebook. I didn't even know we were going to talk again. You know what I mean? But it's cool stuff like that, because, when you come in, you have a weight class. It's just like anything else. When you come into this industry, you're swinging way low, man. You're swinging way low. Not that your talent's not good. Not that your team's not good. But a lot of those folks aren't known. They don't know your name. They don't know
your brand. Your brand is
for sure.
Up. It takes a long time, 10 years, and I'm still building it. And here's the thing, that's where the whole imposter syndrome thing comes in. What really kicked in for me was COVID. Because when I was at conventions, I was just focused on singing my books and moving X amount of books, but I didn't realize how much I was holding myself back. What you're saying is so important. In fact, even in my class that I teach, we have a whole section on networking and how important that is because this is how you meet your future artists.
Absolutely. And
this is where you learn about the business. You make friendships that last a really long time. One last thing we have here that I haven't offered yet is this really cool cover. Can you tell us about this?
Oh man, I can't even see that one.
It's got like a cool like werewolf or beast.
Oh, so it's the bear. So that's a yogai. All right. So for those of you that are into theology or anything, a yogai is a Japanese spirit. That's actually done by Gabby Ramos. Love her to pieces, man. She's such a good chick. But she's been on with us since book one. I've known her for about 15 years. She tattoos me. Great Individual. But that is book 3 as well. So beautiful cover for book 3. Lots of fun with that book.
So we have 3 issues out so far, correct?
Yes. Yep. 1 through 3. And you guys are actually getting an opportunity to grab books that are not even on the market yet right now. Because, like I said, the Kickstarter market is not even getting their books till like 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. So
this is what's up. This is what virtual signings is all about. Is me going to conventions, hooking up with boys like Dustin, getting their stuff before it even hits the street. This is exclusives, guys. All right, now I think I'm going to have to claim, or I think this one is going to be claimed by Ship because he has this cover and he has When Winds Weep. So then this is the one he's going to miss because he wants the full set.
Right on.
Okay, so we got this one down, and that's 15 as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely incredible. So I just want to run everybody down because we are running into the last 20 minutes of our show here. And that is beginnings. I just want to make note of it here so that when I come back to work on Monday, I'm not going to be like, what?
Right. Well, any of those books that you guys need, feel free to contact me or Onrie, because Onrie is I have 5 vendors, and we like to think of Onrie as one of our vendors as well. So he'll be able to get whatever you guys need straight from me.
Yep.
And you guys won't have to pay any weird fees or anything. You'll get them straight from Onrie if you need them.
And guys, I do all of my ordering direct with the publisher so that they have more meat on the bone, and we will always work it out with you guys so that there's enough for everybody at the end. Okay, so just so we know what's going on, I have one last copy of the Marissa Pope Wolf cover going for $15. I have 2 copies of Winds Weep going for $15 as well. So we got 2 copies of that left. And then I have the Lego brick cover right here for Greed. Or sorry, not Greed.
Yeah, that's Greed.
Yeah, Greed. Okay, and that one is going for 15, right? 15 on that?
We can do 15 on that. That's fine.
Okay, 15 on that. And then I have the Beginnings, the issue 3 variant cover going for 20.
Yep.
So call it as you see it, guys. We got only 5 comics left, and then we're sold out on this show. And invoicing will be done just as soon as this show is over. I will send out invoices to you guys, and we'll have everything shipped out to you on Monday next week. And that's what it's all about. Now we can talk about fun stuff. So we can continue our conversation. I'm sorry. I just want to let it know. The whole point of it is to move comics and get people to actually read your stuff. And that's the thing.
Sure.
It was something you said earlier. It's not just that we, meaning you, me, and every other creator, Joe McPhee, and everybody who makes comics. It's not just that we want you guys to buy our books. We want you to actually read them. And that's the most important thing. When you guys are buying this stuff, make sure you're reading it. I'm telling you right now, The Listener is some of the best comic book stuff I've come across from the creator-owned field in recent memory. It was such a fantastic read. Absolutely. I loved it. I love the concept. I love how you take the story of your uncle and you bring it into something special. So now that we're kind of like winding down to the last 18 minutes of our show, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your Kickstarter, maybe share the link with us so that we can come and support you that way too.
Yeah. So right now we've got a Kickstarter going on. We've got 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. We might be at 14 days, 15 days left on the Kickstarter. It's called Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs. When Jim approached me he owns Totally Rad Comics. He approached me about writing a book for them. He was like, what would you like to write that you haven't written yet? And I was like, man, I hadn't even thought about that because I'm so into The Listener and so into Greed that I haven't thought about like a just off the wall like type of book yet. So it's like BGD is, if you were a Ninja Turtles fan, right? Like old school Ninja Turtles fan, the black and white, the gore, the language, BGD is like that, but it's full color. It's 24-page full color book, just like all my other books. But it's like based on a retired mercenary who opens a gentleman's club. Lots of fun there. It is a mature title, 18 and up for sure. But there's a lot to be seen. He's like really chill, really laid back. But this chick comes in for a job and he hires her. Well, shit hits the fan when he hires her because she's got all this baggage chasing her and she just came to his bar to try to hide. And he's a retired mercenary. He's not going to put up with people doing shit in his bar. So it's a lot of fun. It's a anthropomorphic series. There are humans and saurians, we call them, which are like humanoid dinosaurs. Super gory, super dark, just like all my other books. But it brings in an element of really sexy characters. Like we've got these beautiful, beautiful characters, artists that are known to bring beautiful characters to life. It's probably my most ambitious book yet, but it's real easy to get into. It's real easy to have fun with. It's not like something you have to think real hard about. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the story's good. I was told it was like John Wick with dinosaurs the other day from one of the reviews. So I thought that was fun. I also got it was like Blade Runner with dinosaurs, so it is a very cyberpunk type of book. Let me get you a link real quick, Onrie, see if I can grab that. Here we go. Let me see if I can
We got a mic drop here. So Mike Bankston dropped your link in here because he's the man.
Awesome! You. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
We hope your recovery is going well with that.
Love Mike, man. Love Mike.
He's the man.
Him and Trish, incredible human beings, man. My prayers are with them right now and everything they've got going on. I know they'll pull through this, together as a family. They're very strong people. But yeah, so it's like the first book we introduced, we've got 5 first appearances in the first book. And I bring it up because someone asked me that the other day. It was such a cool experience, Onrie. Somebody was like, hey, dude, I need to get all your first appearances. And I was like, okay, well, here's a list of the first appearances. BGD will have 5 first appearances in book 1. Great character development we've seen so far. We've really enjoyed them. I mean, from a Latin matron at the bar, she handles all the dancers and stuff. She speaks a lot of Spanglish. A lot of people have found that to be, a fun thing to do. Because of the fact that I like to introduce different types of people in my books. You know what I mean? Because we live in a world of different types of people. Not everybody's going to be a white dude or a white chick in your book. You know what I mean? So we have to start showing a little bit different nuances. To
bit more representation.
Absolutely.
I think I used to feel like it was kind of like lip service to certain demographics. But, here's the thing you got to look at it from the prism you need to look at it from is, as long as the story is handled well, why not?
Absolutely.
I love using J.H. Williams the Third's Batwoman as an example.
For sure.
You have your lesbian Batwoman, and it was fantastic. I don't care.
Great character.
It's great. It's
great
fantastic.
Character.
And honestly, I think it's interesting to change it up and to see the perspectives of different cultures, different characters, and it's always the same thing. That stuff is always going to be there anyway. Steve Rogers is always going to be Captain America. There can be a Sam Wilson too.
Absolutely.
There could be a Miles Morales, and there could be a Peter Parker.
Absolutely. I mean, well, so like when I went to create these characters, I didn't want to use archetypes that you saw all the time. You know what I mean? So we built this character who has a wants to save everybody type of deal. You know what I mean? So he creates this bar where, even though women are dancing and they're doing what they do and the laws are different in our world. You know what I mean? Prostitution's legal, drug use is legal. There's a lot of things that are very different in the world of BGD. But at the same time, there are other laws, you know what I'm saying, that are much older, per se, like, how you treat people, what the law of the streets, you know what I mean? Things like that, are very, very prevalent and important in our book, because someone's not going to forget that you killed their brother, or they're not going to forget you made a pass at their wife. You know what I mean? All these things are real integral situations. And the cool thing about BGD is we've created this metropolis. So you may not always see a story from the characters that you're used to reading about. You know what I mean? We have this huge world that we've created. I've got 65 fleshed out characters for this book right now. So there's a lot to be said about it. If it's scary, like modern scary, like kidnappings, you're probably going to see it in BGD. Religious cult activity, you're going to see it in BGD. Mafia activity, you'll see it in BGD. All these things are very real and prevalent. So I wanted to have them in a book that I could write about them, because most of my books are very serious. So with BGD, it was like, okay, cool. I can add serious. I can make my own rated R movie with BGD. That was what I was looking for. And it's an ongoing series. I mean, we have a character that runs this mob organization in this part of the city, and he's literally treated better than the mayor of the city is treated, and massive albino T-Rex, except he doesn't have short, scrimpy arms, you know what I mean? But he's a lot of fun. But we just sold an original art piece on the Kickstarter just last night. We put them up. That's one thing about comic books I always thought was really cool that people didn't get to see very often. We put original art up in every Kickstarter. Like I have had plenty of people go, man, don't you want the original art? And I'm like, no, I want a fan to have the original art. if that's because how often do you have the opportunity to affordably get a comic book piece of art that you enjoy? Not a commission, but an actual cover or a page. You know what I mean? Those are very hard things to come by, especially for a collector. So we always make them available on our Kickstarters. I think we're going to add another piece in the next day or so because April's pieces sell out very fast. She's an incredible artist, great lady.
I love her, and she's hysterical.
Absolutely.
Hysterical. Oh my God.
She's a mess. She's a mess.
She's a mess, yes. She's a beautiful mess.
Absolutely.
She has such a beautiful sense of humor. I love it.
For sure. So I think we're adding Jen's cover. She did the cover, the Nedry homage cover. That's got Eve where she's in the eggs. So she's putting that original art up. So that's going to be a lot of fun for that. I think that's $400 for that piece that we're putting up. And it's huge. It's 11 by 17 original art piece, cover piece.
Okay.
So
hold on. We just sold something. Joe McPhee is calling the last variant. And he also said, Dustin, by what you said earlier, you got Joe's support now.
I appreciate that.
In his own heart. And
thanks.
He is fantastic. So Joe, let's show you what's left. I have the listener. This is the issue 1. I have one last copy of that. That's going for $15. I have issue 2, When Winds Weep. I have 2 copies of this going for $15. And then I have this final variant of the beginnings. That's going to go for $20. So we got.
So you have a set. You have a full set available.
Let's work out a deal with Joe because Joe's one of my regulars. Mm-hmm. And you left me with plenty of meat on the bone. So we got 15, and this one right here. Joe, we'd probably be looking at 50 normally. I'll tell you what, if you take this off my hands right now, I'll do them all for $40 if you want to take them all off my hands right now. Let me know if you want to add that whole set and you get the whole story. And I highly recommend doing it because it's really awesome stuff. If you want to just start with one, it's $15. If you want to do issues 1 and 2, $30. But if you do all 3, I'll do them at $40. That way, it's saving a little bit of money for you. And we got this last set here. And I'll extend that to anybody else because, anybody else who, if Joe decides to pass on it, he just wants issue 1, that's cool too. And we can work out some other deal.
So one thing cool about the listener that a lot of people talk about, they always talk about how they like having canine characters in their books, right? One cool thing about the listener is we have Neil and Nietzsche, the Winds, and they are 2 hounds that are based on real beings, which is very cool to me as well. They also get their own personalities, their own characters. We treat them as main characters in our story. We don't just treat them like they're an afterthought. They have their panels, they have their thoughts, they have events that occur to them, even more so after book 2 and 3. Once you get into book 4, it's much more prevalent with them because in book 3 it's called Beginnings because we go back. We talk about things in how the listener came to be, the original listener, how Odysseia gets involved with the listener, all kinds of cool stuff like that. But in book 2, something wild happens, and it changes the aspect of our books entirely. We actually, that's when the listener begins to see what he sees and hears what he hears, in book 2. So
it reminds me a lot of The Sixth Sense in its own right.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, I've always enjoyed the concept of writing a story that wasn't about a superhero. Not that I don't like superheroes. I just feel like that if I'm going to come in and be different, I have to give you guys original stories. You know what I mean? I can't give you something that has been recycled 30 times and painted with a different color, to read about. And I think it's really cool that, Onrie can vibe with that and understand that, because there's a lot to be seen in indies, in the indie world and with story-wise. I mean, you look at Robert Kirkman, the stuff that he's done. I mean, you look at Todd McFarlane with Spawn, Kevin Eastman with the Ninja Turtles on a napkin in a restaurant, in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? There's all these things come about somewhere. You know what I mean? They come from someplace, and it's not your typical book. So I appreciate you guys being interested, and I appreciate the support. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely,
for being a part.
Dude, you freaking rock. I hate to do this, but it's time for us to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dustin, for coming on. Folks,
for sure.
But we almost had a sellout here. I have one copy of the Winds Weep left and this agreed variant cover with the Lego brick pit Mortal Kombat cover. If you guys are interested, message me. We got to wrap it up right now. Be sure to stick around. This weekend, we got the EXP cosplay, contest.
Yep.
And I'm doing a horrible job of promoting, and Kyle's going to kill me. And then we also have the posted anniversary. I will be on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for that. Lots of great creators on there, so be sure to stick around for that. We will see you guys later. Thank you so much. Love you all. Take care. Have a good weekend.
These are just a few of the amazing interviews lined up for our posted anniversary. Help us on our drive to 1,000 YouTube subscribers by sharing the experience with a friend. Celebrate 6 months of comic book nerdery on The Experience.